Nice song, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Sean, how are you? Welcome to TNS Radio. I guess we're on, are we? Yes?
You're live, yep.
Oh, we're live. Thanks, Ben. Welcome, listeners. You're with Santos Bonacci for an hour and a half. Had one little minor technical difficulty getting onto the show tonight because Vin had to add me onto Skype since I've changed my Skype account and address since I was hacked 8 days ago. And I'm happy to inform one and all that I know who the guy is, and I shall, in due time, expose him on a radio show and all his crimes, and I have 3 other witnesses that will join me on that particular occasion, 3 other people whom he has also damaged via his technical computer expertise. And this gentleman talked a lot about the dark agenda, and it appears to me that he's working for the dark agenda. He's an ex-jailbird. He's done 6 months in an Australian prison here. So he is a criminal, got the record to prove it, and we're going to expose him for his crimes. He's crashed my computer 3 times. So you can imagine, I'm on my laptop at the moment. My computer's being repaired. It's going to cost me hundreds of dollars. He's caused so much havoc to me in my life. My life is beautiful apart from this guy. And his name is David Simonton. I'll introduce you to David Simonton.
I guess that was due time, huh?
Oh, yeah. I should have done this. Actually, the other 3 girls from around the world who are going to join me on TCT Radio on my Friday this week, who are going to join me, they're amazed that I didn't expose this guy 6 months ago. And they are so happy to join me on the show because he's done so much damage to them. He's an absolute imbecile, and the name is David Simonton. And we're going to see if we can put him back in jail where he belongs. But anyway, Sean, I'm with you tonight, so we're going to chat about other positive things now. Awesome. Sean, yeah, you've called in on other radio shows and offered some comments and insights and words of wisdom, and I've heard these, and so I've contacted you, and I'm with you this evening so you can share your amazing and profound insights into law and your experience with the law. You've been you've had your fair of trouble, and you've seen a lot, and you've learnt a lot, and you have actually done some hard yards in the sovereignty movement. And TNS listeners love to listen to people like yourself that have great insights. So shall we start with a brief, can you tell us a little bit about yourself just so listeners know where you're coming from?
Oh, yeah, definitely. First of all, is there a chat or anything, or is there something with the radio?
Like you mean calling in?
Well, either calling in or people chatting at the same time while the call's going or something.
Look, I'm not sure whether Vin is offering that service because he's connected us up tonight. But
Santos, sorry, Vin here. If somebody really needs to call in,
I just wanted to note that because a lot of people have a lot of questions after.
Hang on, Sean.
If people want to call in. Yeah, if people want to call in, 00 by phone is 00353 144 33309, or they can just call VINCENTTEMP1 on Skype.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I just wanted to if a lot of shows that I've gone on and stuff like that, people add chats and stuff like that, and then you have somebody going, well, so and so is asking this or that, and I wanted to know beforehand because there's a lot of unanswered questions when I start talking about things. You know what I mean? And I want people to really get the facts and the straight information because there's a lot of BS going on in this whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
usually,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, usually on TNS we just do chat. I don't really take calls, so
that's fine.
Well, we'll see what happens. But let's just go with the flow and hear your story.
Okay, first of all, I filed my paper. Well, I don't know where to start, really. It dates back years and years ago with the Redemption Manual and so forth that I co-authored. And most of them, or all of them, that helped write it are deceased now, except for me. And I don't know if anybody else is not or not, but I know that Reggie Zeno, one of my good friends, is passed, and I believe I'm pretty sure Rice McLeod has, and Larry Ejimo and so forth. But the thing is, I filed my paperwork, and not sure if you want to know all about that because it's in the Redemption Manual, but I wanted to put it more in layman's terms. The biggest problem, is when we didn't invent this process. I'll admit that, okay, first of all. We're not the pioneers, and we weren't trying to be the pioneers. What we were trying to do, for example, is perfect it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perfect the process that way that there's no leeway for any so-called governmental or this, that, or the other to dispute anything. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
What's going on here is people aren't taking over the corporations while they're also taking over their all-caps name of the UCC1. And then it's not being tied also with the copyright trademark, which, see, a lot of people say, for example, oh, well, you didn't sign, even if you, okay, get this. On the UCC1, for example, if nobody knows about this, they may not get it, but when you do a comma and do administrator, or whether you do agent or what have you, it doesn't matter. See, they don't get that. A lot of people, they go, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, you've got to realize, even if you sign for the fiction, the UCC1 is only for corporate entities, you see. So only a corporate entity can take over the corporate entities. That makes sense?
Yep.
And so when you do that, though, you have to also tie it with a copyright trademark and put it into law and recorded, not registered, but recorded. And when you do so, you are taking over, how should I say, as the living, you're taking over and saying, me as the living owns this certain name, which owns the UCC1, which I filed. So therefore, you see the living can own the corporate there. That's how you get by that. And they found out the process is infallible, and they have to record it each and every single time that they do so. And if they do not, they're in direct violation of so many of their own codes, and not to mention the one living law, which is not to harm another living individual without just cause, and they've created fraud and so forth and so on. But it's incredible. So when I filed mine, they came after me like 2 years later. Okay, notice what I said, over 2 years later, right? So when they did so, it was, like I said, 2 years later or more. And I was held for over 90 days without a single charge or without any warrant or without anything. Nothing. And they came and fed me pills 3 times a day, and it was incredible. It was just I was first put on maximum security, and I'd never been in jail in my life, by the way. To be honest with you, I've never been in jail in my whole life. I was put in maximum security with the rapists, the pedophiles, the murderers, and so forth. And then later on, my dad had called some people and complained about me being on maximum security. He said he's never been in prison or done anything in his life, clean slate, basically, And so they moved me down finally after about, I don't know, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. It's hard to remember. Into population, regular population. And then later on, I'm trying to think of all the things to tell you. The CIA, FBI came down from Washington, D.C. and pretended to be my best friend, and we're going to sue this county, and we're going to do this and that and the other. Because the county owes me over $5 billion, you know. And still at this moment in time, they're not going to, you know, they don't pay. And people go, well, why aren't they paying? They're not paying because you people don't realize what's going on, is what I say. And it's the truth. But the thing about it is they came to me and they started talking to me, being my best friend. We're going to do this for you. We're going to do that for you. And we're going to sue this whole county, and we're going to get you out of here and everything else. You know what I mean? And, you know, pumping sunshine, in other words, up your backside, to put it in the polite way.
Yeah.
But, basically, what was it, Bush? Oh, I remember this. I put in my, I went to go to put in my, well, I already had it done, actually. It was on my home computer. And I told my dad, I said, I had backups for if anything ever happened, you know. I had several people hold my paperwork in triplicate and so forth and so on. And I had habeas corpus written up and everything else. And I said, well, file this habeas corpus is already in the computer, blah, blah, this and that. But little do you know, right when I said that on the phone, Bush took out habeas corpus out of our, you know, out of our rights, should I say. And so I was there for over 90 days without a single charge, without a warrant, without anything. And you could only imagine what was going through my mind, you know. And I was actually, wow. I got so crazy. It was crazy, but I started teaching people in jail, and they didn't like that, you know. They didn't like. We had these, you know, the old stainless steel picnic tables outside the pods, as we called them. And people would gather around, and I'd start talking about law. And my roommate, who was there for over a year in that one detention center, should I say, they call them these days, which are jails and prison side.
Yep.
Private-owned corporations, by the way.
Yep.
He was sitting there, and he was going, you need to listen to this guy and this, that, and the other. And they were all listening to him because he had been there for, you know, a while, you know, because that's respect in there, you know? Yeah. And so everybody was listening and just, wow, wait. And I was getting things sent in from people, from my paperwork. They showed that I took over the United Nations, United States of America, blah, blah, this and that and the other and so forth. I took out the whole shebang. And people were like, whoa, how you do this? How'd you do that? And da-da-da, you know? And so they were interested in how I did this and what was going on and why each time they sent me to the judge that, you know, the judge couldn't get a charge on me. You know, and every time we were in lineup to go into court, they would send me in first without anybody sitting in the courtroom. And each time I would go in there, and after a while, the guys in there would be like, hey, listen, man, be cool, just accept this stuff, accept it, and da-da, this and that and the other. Don't go in there and make him mad, because I got to go next, man, and da-da-da. I said, nope, I'm going in. He said, don't be cussing at the judge no more, please, man, because I got to go next after you, man. They don't put nobody in the courtroom until after you go in. And I'm out laughing. I said, listen, you got to do what you got to do. I got to do what I got to do. Because when I walk into the courtroom, I got to own the place. That judge doesn't own the courtroom. I do. You see? And each time I say something, he has to send me out because he has lost the case. He who leaves last, he who leaves the battlefield or getting sent off the battlefield wins, if you will, you know? So the judge, the best thing they could ever say to me each time was, get him out of here. One even said, get him out of here. He knows too much. That was fun. That one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I saw the judge probably about 20 times at least during those over 90 days, you know. So and they could never get a charge on me, nothing. And this is funny right here. Get this. Now, this is just kind of a telling there of what kind of went on. But I was on the top pod, first of all, and they bring us down, and they later on bring out the bottom pod, if that makes sense. So I was on the top pod at first while I was in there. So I went down, and there were some guys in another cell that were locked up, and we had ways of taking off our wristbands and stuff like that, or taking toilet paper rolls and unlocking our doors and everything like that. So these guys were like, hey, come here. And I was like talking to them, everything through the door and everything else. And I was caught doing so. I didn't know there was supposed to be anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? Because I'd never been in jail at all in my life, you know.
Yeah.
So this guy, this officer, I wanted to say something else, but anyway, comes up and he says, hey, you're going to get written up doing that. I went off on him. I said, okay, fine, write me up. I said, the thing about it, before you write me up, I said, do this. And this was in front of everybody in the whole pod. I said, before you can even write me up, I have to have a charge being in here, correct? I said, and I also have to have a warrant on me or a charge. I said, go check in your little office over there to see if you have a warrant or a charge on me. And then you come back and tell me what you're gonna write me up about and so forth. Go ahead. Go ahead. He goes, okay, I'll do that. And he walked out of the place. He came back later, and I said, he goes, listen, man, I'm gonna let you off this time, man. I'm gonna let you off, okay? I said, no, don't. I'm not asking for any little favors. Since I'm in here, without a charge, without a single anything. I said, I'm not asking for a single favor from you. I said, what charge did you see up there? He goes, and all the people started going, yeah, tell him what charge, tell us. Everybody was like all around him, surrounding him, right? I got mad respect in there. I'm not kidding you. People surrounded this guy. Said, what charges he okay, he's got no charge, he's got nothing. They ain't got a charge on him. I don't know why he's in here. And he ran out and locked the door behind him. On that pod. That's how bad it was. He goes, damn, that boy, he's telling the truth. He's telling, and all this stuff, right? So I got mad respect, seriously. And it was crazy, though, because when I finally did leave and get out of there, which I'm probably going ahead of this, but people said, the whole pod, it was like a movie. I'm not kidding you. The whole pod and everybody else just banging on if people weren't outside the pod, they were banging on the doors, and you could hear it from everywhere, all around the whole pod. They were banging on the doors, yelling, screaming, and the guys that were outside the pod were yelling, screaming, and yelling, and because I was getting out, because I knew they didn't have a charge on me or anything. It was amazing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was like watching some movie, and I was like, it was this, I don't know, it's just you got to be there to actually experience it, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
It reminded me kind of the Norma Ray movie. I don't know if you saw that, but...
Nope.
But it was like everybody just going crazy because I was getting out, actually, and it was awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. People love justice in the bottom of their hearts, They know... these poor guys, half of them more than half in the prisons, they're in there on, just these legalities because the system has worked it so that, they honourably.
That's what we need to get to also. Legal has nothing to do with lawful.
Exactly.
It's fictitious code law for a corporation. A corporation is what? A corporation is a group of dead entities.
Yeah.
It's a group of corpses. If you want to see a group of corpses, go to your cemetery. You'll see all the all-caps names sitting right there. The same thing that's on your license, voter registration, your social security number, any credit card you have, and so forth. Any so-called bill, which we can't receive a bill, by the way. I ask people a lot of times, how many bills do you get a month or so? And they'll tell me, and they go, oh, man, whew, I got this bill, that bill, and this stuff. I say, you haven't received a single bill in your life. Huh? What do you mean? Because they're so brainwashed. I don't want to say brainwashed, because we've all been, oh, man, you know what I mean. But I say you only received a statement. If you read up top, it says, this is not a bill. This is only a statement. A statement is something which you would have owed if we had real money, in other words, within those ramifications, you know?
Yep, that's a good point. And this is sad to see pensioners going to the post office here in Australia. You pay your utilities bills at the post office. I see these pensioners lining up for a half an hour with arthritis and, you know, bent double because of their age and trouble. And they bring their statements to the post office, and they've got $200 of cash, which they only get, you know, $210 a week for the pension. And they go and pay their utilities out of their cash.
Yep.
Now, that's fraud.
Exactly.
That's fraud.
It is fraud, and you should be able to accept it for value exempt without levy under House Joint Resolution 192 of June the 5th, 1933, and under House Joint Resolution 192, of course. But also I was going to bring up the UCC. Sorry, I got off track. I was thinking about two things at one time. The UCC 3-19, which is the way to accept it. And by the way, for all those who don't know, you're in Santos? You're in Australia, right?
Yeah.
So Australia and everybody else, all over the whole world, the UCC runs everything in the whole world. So don't think, oh, well, that's just I have so many people go, oh, that's just in the U.S. It's not over here. No, it's all over the whole world. This is what's been going on. Okay, listen, here's the thing about it, too, I want to get out, is that now, slavery, okay? When we look at slavery, they had to find a way to put us in slavery and enslave us, but make it a way in which we have no clue that we are slaves. We don't see the so-called invisible bars that we're sitting in and so forth. And this is the way they went about it, the all-caps name. As you being the all-caps name at your birth. When you were, okay, as soon as you were born or birthed, you became a part of Admiralty Maritime Law. When you came out your mother's womb and went through her water canal, and she gave birth to you, you became a part of Admiralty Maritime Law. We have to realize this. And the thing about it is that a ship sitting still is being at its berth. And right next to the berth is the doctor who delivered you. And right next to the dock and out inside there is the current of the sea, the current sea, which flows. And on the side of the current and the current of the sea is the banks of the river, These are tributaries. These are also known as circuits, as in the circuit courts. And so, I mean, I could go on and on with this, but it's just,
wow.
We got to realize where we are and who we are, you know, and what's really going on, and how to get out of any. Man, I don't know. Okay, there's one thing, the one living law, which is not to harm another living soul without just cause, which is the republic of every, I want to say country, but, okay, I'll say country for now, and then I'll explain that, because we get so hard embedded in our thinking. The one and only law, not to harm another living soul without just cause. Now, why does a private foreign corporation get to say what goes on or who goes to jail or who does this or that or make up the rules anyway? They don't. We, the people, haven't established a new living law for the living republic with real living people instead of a democracy with fake people with property that they can't own and so forth. You see? So the whole thing has been so screwed up that we'd have to, I don't know, demolish the whole single system that we have and recoup a new republic system today. That's what's so hard, is we've come to this point. And that's why it's so hard to get out of this whole mess. You know what I mean, Santos?
Oh, yeah.
Now, a lot of times they'll bring you into a magistrate, first of all, to get a charge on you, okay? They'll read off and they'll tell you, here's what you're being charged with. Notice what I said. Here's what you're being charged with. And they'll read off, you're being charged with blah, blah, this, that, and the other, and so forth and so on. They'll go down the line and say anything they want to. Now, the magistrate is the magician. He's a magician.
Oh, yeah.
He's pulling a trick here. He's doing a little magic on you. He's telling you what you're being charged with right now when you haven't even been charged with it. And then he says, do you understand what you're being charged with? Now, what you need to stop saying is, yes, I understand. And you just start saying, no, I do not understand, because understand means to stand under and give a jurisdiction to, which you do not have. And right now, at this point in time, I'm challenging subject matter jurisdiction, which is foremost and before any type of jurisdiction.
Yep.
Now, do you know what jurisdiction means, Santos?
Juris means to swear, and diction means to say. So, to swear under oath.
Well, yeah, what a juris is an oath, is an actual oath. And diction means out of the mouth.
Yeah.
So what this means right here is they owe you, now here's the reason why too. Jurisdiction means they owe you an oath to protect you and to bring no harm upon you.
Yep.
And what you owe them is nothing, because they're a corporation at this point in time. If they were a living being, you might offer the same to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. It's a fictional world playing with another fictional world, only the party that turns up in court is not supposed to know that.
Exactly.
And they don't. And this is why the judge asks how you're acting today.
And by the way, I've had different people, a lot of people go, well, I don't know, they have different things like, well, I did this and I did that, and then they tried to put me through an evaluation and I didn't know what to do. I've been through so many of these things that I knew what to say, and because I've studied, and I'm not saying that to downgrade anyone, because I studied and studied. I had to, you know what I mean? If this happened, if that happened, it was just going through my head, you know what I mean? So I beat them on every term they had. They couldn't handle anything I said. For instance, this one, I could tell you so many stories, it's crazy. I probably can't even remember all the different stories, but it does remind me of what you said. For example, they told me, well, we're going to send you through a psychiatric evaluation. I said, that sounds great. I said, but you do realize equality is paramount within the law. He said, what does that mean? I said, do you need an attorney here for you to, interpret what I'm telling you? He got all flustered and everything. He said, just tell me what it means, because no one else was in the court, you know. I said, what it means is, if I shall do, so shall ye. I said, afterward, this is great, because afterward we can compare IQ tests and everything else. I said, this is great. Come on, let's go. Let's do this. Get him out of here now. Because equality is paramount within the law. He has to undergo psychiatric evaluation himself. I said, this is great, though, because we can be buddies and we can, compare IQ tests and everything else. And people were like, you're just being an asshole, this judge. And because people were listening in, at the side of the door and going, you cussed him out and you did this and that. And I said, yes, I did. And I had every legal and lawful right to do so.
Yep.
It's different things like, once you challenge subject matter jurisdiction, do you realize what that is? Because I want people to realize what subject matter jurisdiction really is in layman's terms, What subject matter jurisdiction is really is that if you don't own me, and if you do, you have to come up with the paperwork to show me and everybody else here of the paperwork or where you have my slavery under where you own me. See, not a lot of people really get subject matter jurisdiction. That's an easy layman term to put it. If I'm here in your courtroom and you're a private foreign corporation, private foreign illegal and unlawful corporation, by the way, then you have to come up with, the documentation to where you own me as a slave. Because this is not legal nor lawful, you see?
Yeah, but in their system, you are already a slave because they connect your birth certificate to their trust system, which says you are a slave, right?
Yes, but not me, since I took over the United Nations, United States of America, and all that other stuff. And then I also attached it with my copyright trademarks, which they agreed to. I didn't agree to it. They agreed to it. I just sent it in. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So they agreed to this, and they even put into law that they owe me over $5 billion and so forth and so on. So why aren't they paying up and everything else? And me and Hollywood had even talked about, selling this off to China or Russia or somebody else. But anyway, it's incredible.
Talk about that process then. Did you lien them for $5 billion? Can you tell us about that process?
Well, I actually liened them and also put in, for the copyright trademark, what you do is within a certain amount of time, it automatically goes into law, and it has to. There's no way around it, in other words. So it's gone into law and so forth, and they still haven't done their part, so to speak, So what you have is a documentation of their fraud, their misdoing, and everything else. If we really want to look at this on a worldwide scale, and if everyone would realize what's going on, and start realizing and put on a major lawsuit on these entities that are pretending to be law and government, it would be insane. You got to look at it this way too, Santos. We're all multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
We just don't realize it. We haven't realized the capability of our mindset and what's really going on underneath and what they're doing,
Yeah.
It's all fictional money also. But I wrote mine, by the way. A lot of people go, well, isn't money fictional and blah, blah, this and that. I said, yes, it is, but I wrote my stuff in silver species, in which you should write it in silver species, which is real, actual living money. Now, when we look at this sort of thing, we're not actually under the Constitution. We never have been, if we really want to get into this. We were always, the U.S. here, of course. We're always under the Articles of Confederation because the Constitution, there's so many things that I could bring up that it wasn't even so many things in there weren't even properly ratified or so forth. And it was actually a nullified documentation back in those days of my study of history anyway. And if you really want to look at it like this, if you remember, it was said that it was asked, what was it, of the founding fathers, or so-called founding fathers, you want me to get into that because they sold us out also. But they said, for example, after a lady, it was documented, and I can't remember the lady's name, but people can kind of look that up maybe, but it was said, so what kind of government do we have? And it was said, we have a republic government, which we were founded on, if you can keep it. They said if you can keep it. Because after a while, it's always changed into a democracy. I like to call it a demonocracy. It's a mob rule law. And the democracy, by the way, is under fictitious entities and so forth. Now, this is so funny right here, because when you break things down, if you asked every American citizen, and I'm just speaking from American-wise, if you could do the same with Australia and so forth and everywhere else, you'd find the same. If you ask the Australians or the U.S. people, are you communist? No, we're not. Blah, blah, this and that. We're not. Blah, blah, blah. Do they know the word of communist? Communist is basically where the government owns all. They own your property. They own your home, your child, your children, your everything. And that is what's going on right now. But they found a way to do that, which is corporations. A corporation is a group of corpses. So are you under a communistic society? Yes. But people don't realize that they came up with the major plan to bring us into a communistic, socialistic, fascist society in which we're all three.
Well, yeah, and more. What about oligarchy? And
right, and that's what I was getting at. I'm saying et cetera, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's all of those despotic systems, feudalism. It's basically feudalism has been underlying there all the time, all along.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And some Nazism too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I was going to explain, for example, how because a lot of people are like, well, how do they own my property and how they own this, that, and the other? They do it by corporations, of course, but it's not the real living you, and it's not the real living property of yours. It's the fiction's property, the all capitalized U's property. We are the money. There is no money except for we are the money. That's why we're known as human resources. You go to get a job, where do you go? The human resource department. Right? We're robots. You go to get a job, you go to the human resource department because they're pulling out the resources of us because we are the money. When you go to work for a company, do you think, oh, that company's paying me? No, they're getting money off of you. You wouldn't realize how much money a corporation gets off of you just by your all-caps name. Do you realize, for example, for every felony charge, just for a small example, now this was back in the 90s, by the way. I'm sure it's going higher than that now, Santos. But back in the 90s, I did my research on this, and it's hard to research it now because they've hidden it so much. But here in the United States, there's a corporation called that groups up all the prison systems. And it's in Tennessee. It's called the Correctional Corporate blah, blah, this and that. I can't remember the exact name. But to make my point, though, is that for each felony charge back then, the state got $4 million and the county got $40 million. For each felony charge. For each felony charge. And you know the thing about it, I was sitting in jail and they go, well, they have to, you know how much money it costs for them to keep us here? They even have the idiots in jail thinking it costs them to stay there.
Yeah. This is what astounds me. Oh, my God. Oh, they've got everybody fooled, haven't they? They do actually think. You hear the consensus buffoons on the street. Oh, and it's costing us taxpayers to keep the prisoners in the prison. It's costing us taxpayers. Well, it is, but they don't know how.
Exactly. But did you hear what I said? Even the prisoners are agreeing with it. It's such a mind control, brainwashing agenda. But the prisoners are sitting there. Do you realize what it costs to feed us a day? And da-da-da. It costs them money, and it costs the taxpayers this, that, and the other. No. They're making money off your... And do you realize that they have full use of your all-caps name while you're being warehoused in their prisons or jails?
Yeah.
Do you know how much that amounts to?
Billions.
Yes.
Billions.
Exactly.
Tim Turner is a good researcher there. I don't agree with everything that the guy does, but he's a good man, and he's a researcher.
I have met a lot of people who told me a lot about Tim Turner. I don't know him myself, to be honest with you. but they told me that they took thousands and thousands of dollars of their money and so forth. And I think, I don't know, buddy, I want to voice my opinion on here, but I really don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, all right, let's leave that one. But I mean, he's found out that our trusts are generating billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, and that's the same thing that I and many people before me have done. You know, look at, for instance, the Montana Freedmen. Some of the first guys who realized what was going on. For example, you know, and a lot of those probably are still in prison, if not died in prison. And I look up to those guys, and it just, because they tried to tell people what was going on. I mean, look at, for instance, do you know Waco, Texas? Those people were all sovereigns.
Yep.
Did you also know that Bill Cooper was a sovereign?
Oh yeah, of course.
He was a sovereign.
Of course.
What happened to him? And he also, on his radio show, if you listen to one of his radio shows, for example, what was it, 6 months before, I believe it was, 9/11, somewhere around there, he said, he talked about the World Trade Centers.
Yep.
And what was going on. He said, and it's going to be blamed on Osama bin Laden, folks. But it's not going to be him. It's going to be the new world order. And so forth. And what was it? I can't remember later on, after the World Trade Center thing happened, 9/11, he was killed off.
Yep.
That's pretty
obvious. Same thing happened at Ruby Ridge and probably Jonestown. I'm not too familiar with Jonestown, but I've seen enough, a couple of docos that show that things are not the way the media portrayed that incident. And a lot of these other things.
I feel you on that, because I researched it myself, and not mean to cut you off, but you made up a very good point there. I remember that happened probably before you and I were even, you know, when we were younger, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and not awake.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember Waco, and of course, back then I was a good little Jehovah's Witness boy, you know, so I would have thought, oh, look at these crazy Seventh-day Adventists, you know, he's just another idiot, and look what they've done. They've gone and shot they've gone and started shooting at the FBI, so this is what happens. Accidents happen, and now they've blown the whole place up, and what a tragedy. Aha. That's how you look at things when you are gullible.
Well, here's something really interesting that might be, while I was in jail, you know, or in legally in jail and lawfully in jail, I had talked to one of my friends who was worked for the, how'd you say, CIA and the Homeland Security and so forth. And he was also a Border Patrol, and he's a multifaceted guy. And he's like, what? You can't be revealing this stuff. You can't come out with this da-da-da, this and that sort of scenario he's giving me on the phone. He said, do you not realize that the people in Waco were all sovereigns? I said, yes, I know that. I said, but I'm not going, I'm not going down for this crap, you know, of, taking up for myself and so forth. And he's just like trying to talk me. He's like, you can't do this, you know, Sean, and so forth and so on. And you know what I mean? It's the whole mindset, you know? That's what we're dealing under. People are brainwashed and mind controlled when you know, okay, look at it this way, Santos. Let's pretend we have about a 500 crowd people just sitting in a building, okay? And you're on stage and you say, okay, raise your hand if you've ever been mind controlled or brainwashed. And if there was not one individual out there that raised their hand, then they should leave, because we all have been, and I'll admit to it. You know, we've been from the cradle to the grave, manipulated, brainwashed, mind control, and so forth.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
That's the first thing people need to admit on this whole thing, though. If they can't admit that, then they can't wake up.
Yeah. It's a sad thing, but it rises from being educated rather than enlightened, and giving people erroneous opinions for education. And
well,
because
I like to... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and because these are not capable to comprehend due to ignorance, they remain in their opinions. Opinions are disastrous. They're disastrous and very, very hard to let go of, even though erroneous.
Not to put you out or anything, but the thing about it, we don't need to be. The thing about it, we've been educated. We hadn't re-educated ourselves. See, because part of the mind control game is you have to re-educate yourself, which means educate yourself again. Because in school we've been taught fake and false history by the Rothschilds and the Jesuits. Doctrine teaching what they wanted us to know. I was telling a guy that earlier tonight when I went to the store, for example, we were talking for a while, and I said, think about everything that goes on, but think about these sort of things. I said, first of all, the music you listen to on the radio. I said, there's nothing but crap these days. It's nothing but crap. He goes, yeah, it is. And I said, but this is what you're being given. Do you think that's the talent of the world? No. That's what you've been given. It's just like the same in fashion and everything else in every aspect we look at. You see these guys with these skinny jeans or what have you going, it's all about the taking away from the male aspect when we look at that too, in a lot of ways. Whether you wear baggy jeans or whether you wear some skin-tight jeans like a woman. They've got us, what I'm saying is, anything that they put out and what they're giving us is how life goes, you see. If the only jeans on the market were skinny, tight jeans that only a woman would wear, then a man would have to wear them too because they were all in man sizes. There's no regular work jeans or even baggy jeans or carpenter jeans, as I call them. Or anything else, or you know what I mean? Does that make sense, though?
Yep.
What the controllers give us is what we're given and we work with, and that's all we have. You see?
Yeah, and that's the crime of it all. It's the crime of it all because if we knew that we were going into court as actors. And that we had a trust that was worth so much, and they were honourable about this trust system, then things would really go nice and smoothly because we could just walk in and just say, well, okay, settle the accounts, thank you very much, yes, that's me, that's the fictional corporate me, do I owe $1,000? Oh, who to? That gentleman? All righty, well, sign away, my trust is there's millions of dollars you can draw from, bye-bye, my business is done. But they don't allow that because they're breaking their own rules. So the whole system, which might be good, if they let it be good, is no good, and they've ruined it because they don't go by their own rules.
Exactly. Their code, statutes, and amendments, and so forth. And the thing about this, too, I bring this up because you know Mark, and he's a great guy. And the thing I like about Mark, a.k.a. Hollywood, is that he wants to put out the truth, the pure truth, and nothing but the truth. And he's at least trying to put it out and expose it and so forth. But we've talked about many of these things before. It's been a while, but when you bring up those things, for example, we talked about, for example, hey, you can pay this off, you can pay that off, and so forth, and here you go, here's the acceptance, and there's your money, and I'm off back to my house. You know what I mean? But they don't, most of the time, they won't do that. Because you know why? What's figuring in, and a lot of people don't realize is they don't want to just get paid. They want to get paid. See?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like I was telling you before, not a lot of people realize that when you're locked up or warehoused, as they call it, in their jails or their prisons, you're being warehoused. And when that happens, there's certain things that come into effect. You sign over different things far and past the monetary gain of that so-called code crime or what have you, which is back in the 90s, I said. I don't know what it is now, but back in the 90s, it was $4 million for the state for each felony charge and $40 million to the county for each felony charge. And then they also get use of your all-capitalized name, which you said, Santos, what? Equals billions of dollars. And that is why, right there.
Yeah.
Just, see, when you that's the problem right there. What you see, and I was trying to explain that to Mark also, and I think he gets that, but I know he does. But the thing about it is that yes, when you get in there, it's not about the monetary. It is about the monetary gain, but it's not about that monetary gain on the charge itself. It goes deeper than that. It extends way deeper, you know.
Yeah, because we're actually paying in the from the private into the public, and they're converting it back into the private and into Swiss bank accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the whole trick.
It doesn't just go into there either. It goes into localized accounts. The CAFR, for example. And the CAFR, by the way, is all the money that you see in those CAFRs, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, and that all goes as taxpayers' money, which taxpayers are owed. And you can find that in every county, every state, every city, and you would be amazed at how many millions and probably billions you're owed. Here's the big thing. I forgot about this story right here, okay? Right after they had brought me in, there was 12 cops surrounding my house, okay? Mm-hmm. And they even used heat sink vision and see-through wall stuff on me. I don't want to get into that and tell you all about that, but
hey, wait a minute.
I will in private, but
what? Wait a minute. What did you say? What did they do?
They use see-through wall stuff on me, you know.
Yeah, and?
I heard through their radios. I heard every conversation they made, and I saw my every move.
Yeah, but did you say something about heat?
Yeah, they use my they use devices which they can see your heat signature, and they can see through walls and so forth.
Okay, right, okay, go on then. All right. Yep.
But when I got taken in, there was 12 cops. I counted the cars when I was going out. Trust me, I did. And I was counting officers too and everything else while they were in my house, and they were had my mother, my father pinned and so forth in the house, and my mom screaming and yelling for her life and everything else. I'm not kidding you. But this was several years ago, but it still reminds me. But the thing about it, when I was brought in, first of all, the bailiff was there, the bailiff for the court, which I know his name and so forth. And I said, so where's this warrant? See, because I asked for a warrant. I said, where's your warrant? Where's your warrant? They didn't have one. They didn't have a warrant. They didn't have a charge. They didn't have nothing. Okay. And so when I was there at the sheriff's department, which, by the way, if people out there don't know, because I want to contradict everything that Tim Turner and all those people say. This is one thing that I know Tim Turner says, and several other individuals, by the way. The sheriff is not the highest individual in the county. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
The sheriff dates back to Old English times, and it means the Shire of the Reeve. They were the shiree back in the Old English times was in control of 4 different places in Old English times, which, covered the whole English territory, of course. But they were known as the Shire of the Reeve. And that's what we have over here now, which are private, foreign, illegal, and unlawful corporations. That's the same with police. Police stands for policy, which equals a contract. They have to have a policy or contract just to even talk to you, but people don't realize what the hell's going on. If they pull you over going down the road, they have to have a contract with you, and they have to have it right there to show you that they have the contract with you. If they do not, it has to be, it's an emergency pullover. And they have to say, your life was in danger. That's why I pulled you over. If your vehicle wasn't pulled over because you were in danger, then they are in fault, and people don't realize what's going on. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay, where was that on the? Okay. When they brought me in, I said, "So where's that warrant you had for me? Where's the warrant or what have you had for me to come into my house and try to break in my house?"
Yeah.
He came up. He handed me a whole thing of paper, thinking I was an idiot. Which, by the way, I have my attorney in fact. I'm not an attorney in practice with the Bar Association, which is the British Accredited Registry. I'm an attorney in fact, and I've written it up myself also. I've written up one of those I can show you. I've written up an attorney in fact. If anybody doesn't know what an attorney in fact is, it's a real living attorney within the real living law. So I wrote one of those up in court. I wrote so many things you wouldn't believe, but he handed me the paper. He handed me the paperwork, and I looked through it. And I said, "There's no judge's signature to be held accountable, and there's no DA's signature to be held accountable." I said, "This is a fake. I can't believe you just handed me a fake warrant." He snatched it back. He goes, "Well, we can't pay you all that damn money we owe you." I said, "Whoa." I said, "Whoa. All these officers are surrounding you, congratulating everybody else on coming to get me and breaking in my house and getting a so-called fugitive." I said, "Well, you just told them that this was a fake warrant that you have on me, and you have no real warrant, and that, well, we can't pay you all that," because he got mad, because he knew I was right. "We can't pay you all this damn money we owe you." I said, "You just admitted to owing me money and coming to get me at my house because you owe me money?" He goes, "Well, we don't have all this damn money to pay you and go into, to go into bankruptcy. You'd bankrupt this whole county," he told me. I said, "This county has already been bankrupt since 1913 at least, or 1933 under the House Joint Resolution 182. It's been admitted." I said, "You have enough. I've checked in the CAFR to pay me and still have money left." I said, "What's going on?" What? Get him, just put him in a cell, and all that stuff. And so they put me in a cell, and nothing else was said about that. But I made him look like an ass at the same time. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's a pretty incredible revelation. I stopped the police in their tracks when I had my little nephew was riding a little motorbike up and down my driveway and in the cul-de-sac where I live. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the police turn up. And my little nephew is only 7 years old, and he's got this little motorbike, and he fell over, and he's on the grass. And the cops pull up, a male and a female police officer. And I saw that from my driveway, which is on a little bit of a hill, and I run down that driveway to the end of the cul-de-sac. I went straight to my nephew. I said, "Go home." Picked up the bike and pushed it downhill very fast, gained enough speed so that the motorbike would roll up my driveway, and they followed immediately. They pulled out their little book on my little nephew, and I rocked up and I said, "Lorenzo, get out of here, go home." And I got on the bike and they said, "Hey, excuse me, what's your name?" I said, I'm taking this motorbike to my house, and I got inside my property, and they're standing outside. You can't do this, and you can't do that. And I said, listen, who's the bonded party?
Mm.
Which one of you is the bonded party? I want to see you bond.
The bonded party? Who's the secured party?
Yeah, the secured party. And guess what? He says, "Oh, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You got no idea, Mr. Bonacci. We know who you are. There's your car in the driveway. We've got your number plate. We've already checked you out. You're in trouble." And I was filming all this, because I film everything. I've filmed lots of incidences like this. Anyway, and I should put them on YouTube, actually. I've got mate, I could make you laugh. I've had 14 sheriffs and policemen once at one stage with my little camera. They didn't like it. For 2 hours.
I wish I had a camera on me at all times that I could show people the things, it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, my son's doing the same thing. He's got a group of, he's a rapper, and he's got a group of boys that are into the sovereignty movement. They've seen my videos. They've watched a few of the others like Dean Clifford and everything. So they went to the city the other night, and the cops were asked one of David's band members, who has got a very, very rapid return for returning and compliments and comments, and the policeman said, "Keep the beer out of the public eye," and he says, "You can't tell me what to do." He's very cheeky, and he's had a lot of contact with cops and in and out of courts and everything like that, and it was on. They called about, 20 cops. My son calls me, he goes, "Dad, there's cops everywhere. They're jumping on me mates. There's 30 of me mates. There's 30 cops. They're taking them into, and one's looks like he's got a broken knee. They've got tasers out." And I said to Dave, well, just stay out of the trouble, and just know who you are, and try and encourage your friends to just stay out of the trouble. They took a few in and then released them, and etc. But these are young boys that I'm proud of, because they're standing up to the boys.
There's a whole long thing we could get into here about the rap industry and so forth. Oh man, you wouldn't believe. I've been in the rap industry. I had a $10 million contract with Dallas Austin Recording Productions, and I can tell you all about the industry, what's really going on. I was back when I was 22, and I was asked to feed the goat. I didn't know what that meant. And I just kind of looked like, what, huh? Oh, this guy's going to make us some money right here. You ready to feed the goat? I was like, what? What's he talking about, feed the goat? But I know now. Freemasonry.
Yeah.
It's all Freemasonry. It's all because and my name was stolen later on after a lot of things. I could tell you all about that later on, but don't want to take up a whole lot of time on this. But I'm a rapper myself, and was one back in the day too. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I still write lyrics on sovereignty and everything else, and I've got over 500 songs written. So yeah, I'm an engineer, producer, everything else. So yeah, send me your son's stuff, and I'll listen to it and check it out.
Oh, I'm gonna have my son on one of my radio shows one day. I keep telling him, Dave, just add me on Skype. Get your act together. He says, "Oh, yeah, Dad,
I'll tell you what. Get him on Skype one day and have him talk to me." Because me and him can probably talk and relate if anything, and I can tell him how to do and not to do, because I've been there, done that, if you know what I mean. So that's all I mean by that, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, look, he just thinks he hasn't got anything to say. I mean, he's got a few experiences where he has been very, very good with police officers. And, he was charged twice for driving on a suspended license. We did the Denakay ultimatum, Kate Thompson's document. We submitted that into the court in January. Haven't heard a thing since. That was 3 months ago, and I knew that my.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was thinking of something at the same time, and you got my mind wound up about something. So I was going to send you something that is incredible here. That this one guy wrote. He was I can't remember if he's a senator or what. Anyway, he's I've got it in one of my links here. I want to show you. And but after he wrote this, he was killed off. Okay.
Yeah.
So that hit in before you went any further. I wanted to keep that in mind. So it's crazy what we had to deal with, man.
Yeah, look, it's good to see the young ones waking up, and in fact, there's a TV show in Australia. It's the cops going around booking people on the roads. You know, those stupid shows, and this band member of my son's band called Bones. He's a Cambodian Sagittarian, skinny little 20-year-old, but I love Bones because he just loved the truth.
Oh, come on. I'm a Sagittarian myself, man.
Yeah, they're happy, very happy people. Yeah, full of fire, absolutely, and very quick. Bruce Lee, very fast. Sagittarians. But anyway, he's very fast, Bones, too. He's a fast rapper. And he was on this show. They actually caught him, and he actually did the sovereignty spiel. And they cut out...
Actually, we did a thing, but it wasn't put on live, but I did the fastest rapper in the world thing, and I actually did it, but it wasn't put on Guinness's or anything. And I was actually going slow at the time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that? The tripping over again, weapon 37 thinking sticking out, going off, beginning on off, right? Should they going on? Because I'm chilling with Solology, a minute to retain the rhythm jam, come south to the rocks, kicking out a second sound, I'll be dropped in the gear rock. Show my wheels, got them out there on the round spills. So, and thing about it is this, is I recorded several others of doing fast raps, and they didn't come out correct, and when I did it, I slowed mine down on a ASR10 keyboard, and it was like, I'm tripping and whipping, giving a whipping to the sick one, thinking I'm sick, and that, you know, you could hear the words clear. The other ones you could not. It was like all messed up and all this, that, and the other. But everything I did came out correct, and people were like, "Wow, that is crazy," you know. But that was my slow. That was actually my slow version.
Yeah.
Well, I've done a lot of sovereignty, different songs and stuff like that. I just haven't put them out. Man, I tell you what, this whole thing has got me, since then, what has happened years ago, has gotten me to where I'm just like, you know, I don't really go out. I stay at the house. I stick to myself. I go to the store, I don't know, when I need something, I don't know. And,
Well, look, I'm so disconnected with this world. If I go down to the shopping mall, it's just to perform my guitar, but I look around and I see zombies walking around, and I feel so sorry for this.
Me too.
And it hurts me. Just hurts me.
I went to exactly. And I've been to the mall and stuff like that, and I said, man, these people are zombified. You walk past them, and it's just like, whoa. They've got no. It's just like, there's no look on their face, like they're just walking, and I don't know, and no thinking, you know.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad to see that, because you can see there's no purpose in their life, and yet they don't look happy for it. They might be smiling, they might be giggling, and they might be walking around with purpose and intent because they're going shopping, but you can just see that their life is full of trivialities and vanity and just, you know, the usual bread and circus, and they're not aware. Just like dumb animals, like an animal that's, climbing the ramp and is about to be led to the slaughter in an abattoir. And he's just walking along, and all of a sudden, thunk, and then he dies, And you can see that our little young brothers are being manipulated in such a way that their lives appear to be very, very empty.
Yep, exactly correct. And
yes.
There is a few things we probably need to get on here, which is we should probably talk about that a charter, for instance, differs from a constitution, and that the former is granted by the sovereign, while the latter is established by the people themselves. A lot of people now talk about, you have this whole thing in the newspapers, the news, TV, what have you, mainstream, what have you, I don't know, about sovereign citizens. We are not sovereign citizens. I've never, ever used the word sovereign citizen.
You can't be. It's an oxymoron.
A citizen, by the way, cita, which is city, stands for citadel. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A citadel is is basically a walled-in place or what have you, walled-in city or walled-in containment. And Zen actually stands for nothingness. Now, when you want to go into the state of Zen, you want to go into a state of nothingness. Now, that's the same thing as a straw man, which is a third-party transmitting utility within law. But if you really look at it in the Dorothy effect in The Wizard of Oz, too, and it also states a being of no substance. Okay? So a being of no substance is what? I try to put it in layman's terms. I learned that and I may be pretty bad at layman's terms a lot of times because, and I blame that on, studying for so many years and trying to configure this, that, and the other, and then trying to put it out to other individuals. But, you know what I mean? No, it's kind of hard to get out to people. I hope I'm coming across okay to people, and they're really getting it instead of going, wait, why did he say this or why did he say that? And the Trinity that controls the world, here's what it all is. They're all private foreign corporations in cities within cities, and they're not part of the countries, and they have nothing to do with the living people or the living landmass. Washington, D.C., for example, controls the military. London City, the city within London, controls the money. Mm-hmm. The Vatican Holy See, the city within the city within the city of the Vatican Holy See, SEA. So you got the Vatican Holy SEE, which is the city within the city of the Vatican Holy SEA, controls religion and controls all. Now, I should back that up and say the city within the city Vatican Holy SEA, which is within the, that controls all. It controls, religion controls all. And I noticed, by the way, and I'm giving you props here. I'm giving you major props. If you don't know what props are, ask your son. I'm giving you major respect on what you did on the as above, so below. That was awesome. The only thing I said that was like, and it wasn't it wasn't anything to do with you, by the way. It was it's the 13 instead of 12, and I realize why you did that, because the 13's been hidden,
Yeah, well, 13 is the product of 12. It's like we talk about octaves in music, but an octave is actually seven notes, you see. So a septenary is rounded out to an octave, and a dozen is rounded out to 13. This is why people don't realize it's such a magical number.
Well, in the originality, the actual strumming of a string is actually a sine wave, which create a actual note, which is one. But one of many. You see, because I've studied music and everything else too, and it deals into a mathematical term of many things that I'm just going to cut to the chase. This is the thing, back in, I believe it was 1909, 1910, the Rothschilds and so forth paid off the American Musical Association and paid off all the musical associations, I should say, to make the 440 the actual C note, which is the middle C of the keyboard, which is the middle C of the guitar and so forth, okay?
Yeah.
Now,
you mean the A?
That's the C.
No, well, 440s for the...
Middle C.
You sure?
Yeah, middle C is
all
440.
Right. Okay. All right.
Middle C is 440. And now once you set middle C 440, you realize what happens on the keyboard or any guitar or what have you as you go up and down the scales, right? It all gets divided in the same. It gets divided into two, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you do so, any scale that is divided within the two, within the ancient mystery schools, which I've studied and so forth, it creates disharmony, hate, anger, pain, and that's what we've been dealing with on the scholastic, musical notes and so forth. Now, if you divide any number into three, it creates love, joy, harmony, blah, blah, this and that, all the good things, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
So if it's divided into three, you can divide it into three, it creates joy, harmony, laughter, happiness, and so forth. Now, we've been put into a satanic, I will say, I know the word satanic, me and you both know that. The word satanic is just a, I don't know how to put it. Do you?
Well, yeah, I would put it as entities who have chosen to stay in works of darkness, which we call evil in this polarity concept that we have, and they've chosen to just do bad shit instead of doing good things.
Good way to put it. But here's one thing right here, and this is what I also give you, and I hope other listeners don't take disrespect to this, but I look in the mind of Tesla, a guy who, so many things have been hidden by this man for so many years that I could go just off like crazy and talk about this, but I want to know we're in a time limit here. So the thing about it is that Tesla was a genius. Still is. People can't even do things that he did back 100 years ago. I don't know. What I'm saying is they can't even do now. Yeah, what he did 100. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like insane.
Yeah.
This guy was so intelligent, genius. But he talked about the 3, 6, and the 9. If he made an invention, okay, and it didn't, and the aspects of it, any aspect of it didn't equal 3, 6, or 9, he would trash it. It didn't work. It wouldn't work, and it's not working. It's not going to work. 3, 6, 9. That's when you add up the numbers and so forth, of course, and everything else. But the guy knew what he was doing. And also to tell you the truth of my aspect of him also is that he said, if you want to know the keys to the whole universe, you need to study frequency, vibration, and energy. And that is the things that I myself, I don't know, it may be hard for others to conceptualize, but frequency, energy, and vibration are really the total God of our whole universe when we really think about it.
Yep. It's all.
Well, you don't want to go that route when you're dealing with religious people talking about the God of all is frequency, vibration and energy sort of deal, because they will just off you in the get-go,
That's right. Yep. It's all about light.
I think you know where I'm at, though, on that, though, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Not that I don't believe in a god or gods, for instance, because it's just what these god or gods are.
Well,
are they frequency, energy, vibration, or what?
Well, the Egyptians, for all the the accusations by the churchgoers that the Egyptians worshipped gods and demons and animal-headed human forms and whatnot, they called those so-called demons, they called them netters. And we actually...
Yes, and they also call them different other things, but yeah, you're right, yeah. Netters.
And that's and that's where we get the word nature. So they're just aspects of nature. Archetypes.
What are we using now, though? The inter what? Net.
Yeah.
Netters. The internet. The interneters.
Yep.
I mean, it's and look at, for instance, what do you see with your eyes, right?
Mm.
Now, what do they call the thing that actually allows the eye to see? The iris, which is a combination of the word Isis and Horus. Iris.
Oh, that's a beauty. That's a beauty. Yeah.
Horus, I could say Iris.
Yeah, and did you mention before Islam and Israel?
Yeah, Israel is Isis, Ra, the sun. Isis, Ra, the sun god, and El for the Elohim, and it goes on and on.
Yeah. It's so there it is in the Muslim religion, in Islam. There it is in
the lambs of Isis.
Yep. And it's there in the Jewish system, Israel, and it's also in the Christian system because they go with Israel too.
Let's get to another thing when we were talking on chat the other day, okay? I don't know. I don't think you remember this, but oh man, I may be going into deep on the religious thing on this, but because it's not me. It's just that people don't accept things well. You know what I mean? The Genesis, the first book of the Bible, the genes of Isis, Genesis.
Yeah.
That's the genes of Isis. This is, you know what the King James Version is of the Bible? It's the Freemasons' Bible, because the Freemasons rewritten the Bible back in 1611 and called it the King James Version. And after I should say the authors were the Freemasons, and it was also the head of them, though, was Robert Flood and Sir Francis Bacon, a.k.a. Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And when it was put out, it was made into law that if anyone should hold any other Bible besides the King James Version after it was written, well, first I should say all the Bibles were taken up and burned, okay? And put in a pile and burned. And if anybody, then later on it was made into law, if anybody held any other Bible besides the King James Version, they were to be beheaded on the spot. No trial, no nothing. They were to what? Be beheaded on the spot. That tells you one thing, dictational law. And another thing, by the way, is that when they did this during those times, you realize what they were doing. They were killing off all the past Bibles. For example, I've read many scriptures from the old, from some old text that I have. And when Jesus was on the cross, for example, it did not say, what was it? Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. It said, forgive them, what was it? Forgive them not, for they know what they do. See, now what this did is conceptualize forgiveness upon the people who bring wickedness to our life, like the Vatican and so forth, and the Freemasons, and anybody who actually do bad deeds and put them in their names, you know. Oh, we have to forgive them, but even though they're, you know, it's funny though, people that I find people, and I love Hollywood to death, but he's one of those people who goes, we have to show them love and forgiveness, and I'm like one of those people that, no, we have to, you know, kill them off, what have you. I'm that sort of guy, you know, I'm the warrior. But,
yeah, me too. I'm very Aryan, and Mars is very prominent. It's on my ascendant, so I'm very martial, and it's in the sign of Leo, which means it's in the heart. So I've got this action planet in the heart, burning away on my ascendant, ruling my whole chart. And exactly. I'm the same as you, man. I reckon we should offer the Pope and all these buffoons 3 options: guillotine, gallows, gallows, or electric chair.
You're a little nicer. You're a little nicer than I am, because you know why? Because I don't like murder. I like, man, I think these people should be tortured for like centuries if we can, and just put them on a tube to where they still live and still feel the pain for centuries and centuries until they actually finally die. But that's just me, and I'm just saying.
Yeah, let them reopen their torture chambers that they have there in the catacombs. Hey, Sean, anyway, we've come to the end of the show. We've got a couple of minutes left, so I'll call out to Vin to help us with closing out. Just a couple of last closing words, and you know, perhaps we'll join you again, say in about a fortnight or something, have another chinwag about these very important subjects.
Right?
Yeah. But look, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me at short notice.
I love it. It's great talking to you, man. It's awesome. Because, you know, it's hard to talk to somebody that is that's not on your level. It's great to talk to somebody finally that's on someone's level, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it gets it all. Why can't we get it all? You know what I mean? You've got some people who are in the law and sovereignty movement, but they don't get the astrotheology, because that's a very, very important part of it. They don't get other aspects of it. So
you just said it's a very important part. It's the totality, basically, that plus Egyptology. I mean, and that Egyptology was added only because of astrotheology and what it represents itself. So, yeah.
Yeah. You said it, brother. Okay, Sean, take care. We'll talk soon. Actually, I'll talk to you tomorrow about your offer that you made before about the computer. So
awesome.
I'll tag you tomorrow. Thank you, Vin. If you're there in the background, you can close us off. And look, I'd love to thank the wonderful TNS listeners. Thanks, guys. I noticed that there were quite a few in the chat. And hopefully if Vin's recorded this one, we can, then re-listen to it if we need to. But thanks, listeners. We will see you next week on TNS. I have my next-door neighbour, Fatah Sabawi, on with me as my guest next week. He is my very next-door neighbour. He is a musician, and he made a film which has won many, many awards around the world. He is Palestinian, and the film is called Return to Gaza. So in the meantime, listeners, you might want to check out on YouTube, Return to Gaza. This is Fatah Sabawi, my next-door neighbour, who purchased the house that I actually owned before I moved into my friend's house, renting next door from where I am speaking right now. And you are going to meet a wonderful musician and a movie maker talking about this beautiful liberation of Gaza one day soon, hopefully. So thanks, Sean. Thank you, Vin. Thanks, listeners, and catch you next week.